the 6th World Congress on Disaster Management. Now, this session, I feel, is very, very important, as Dr. Ray already mentioned. Sustainable development and resilience is at the core of whatever we do. Now, we know the definitions of both. Sustainable development is conducting development, socioeconomic development, that meets the requirement of the present generations without compromising the needs of future generations. That's very simple. In bringing resilience to the discourse, I think we are now taking this forward in the sense that sustainable development has some assumptions that things would be stable, that there would be continuum to whatever we do. But then we know, like we have learned from the pandemic, from the COVID-19 pandemic, there would be shocks along the way which disrupts the whole system. So now you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, I really don't know where we are with all of these goals. I think there is a severe setback. So when you bring in resilience, it is bringing in the dimension of building in the ability of individuals, households, families, communities, countries, nations to cope with shocks, to cope with the climate crisis, to cope with the pollution that we are facing, to cope with the biodiversity loss, all the crises that we are facing, to understand them, to withstand them, and to recover and adapt, to be able to better withstand. So I think these two elements are mutually reinforcing. Now we are going to be focusing on the Himalaya. I still remember the first mountain guru, actually a colleague from India, Professor Narpat Singh Jodha. Now, Professor Jodha used to always say, mountains have 4 distinct specificities. And these specificities are marginality, socioeconomic marginality. So today we need to see whether mountains are still marginalized in terms of decision-making, in terms of socioeconomic development. He used to say, mountains are inaccessible. Have we increased accessibility? Have we improved this, the mountain people's access to services, goods, and all the facilities? Then, vulnerability. Mountains are vulnerable economically, socially, as well as physically because of the conditions there. And finally, in terms of fragility, mountains are very fragile geologically.
Not only the Himalaya, if we look into our country itself, the plain, also we are experiencing hazards related to droughts and floods. Coastal regions, also we are experiencing some sort of cyclones, coastal erosions, time to time tsunamis. And the Himalaya, and this year we have experienced, in the beginning, Joshimath episode related to landsliding. Then July, August, we experienced excessive rainfall in Himachal Pradesh and parts of Uttarakhand, leading to landslides and flash floods. Then in October, November, we had in eastern part of Uttarakhand state earthquakes in the western part of Nepal. Then we got South Lonak partial glacial lake outburst flood in Assam. And recently we have experienced that Silkyara tunnel episode. Before last year, whenever you go back, we see the Himalayan states are being affected by disaster, and Uttarakhand state in particular has been affected. And all of us know that several factors we are attributing to the disaster, not only one factor. We always talk about the climate change, its impact, global warming, and its impact. They are playing role, but besides that, there are several other phenomena we have to look into in integrated manner to understand the earthquake, to understand the landslide, to understand the glacial hazards, glacial lake outburst, flash floods, etc. So we have been experiencing the impact of the climate change at one hand. We are seeing the impact of the anthropogenic activity. We are seeing that environmental degradation that has happened, the surface rock has developed cracks, fissures, and they are also experiencing some sort of hazards related to the several phenomena.
Now, across the Hindu Kush Himalayas, we have something like 54,000 glaciers, estimated 54,000 glaciers. Now, many of them are melting very fast, and the glacier lakes are expanding, and the risk from GLOF is increasing. So I think this really illustrates the danger that we face, the mountain communities face, and the need for taking into account upstream, downstream linkages. So disasters are transboundary in nature, so we need to have very good communication, information exchange between upstream and downstream communities. Thank you very much.
But I would simply draw attention of the House on only three issues. One is a need for more investment in research and development as regards to disaster risk resilience and climate adaptation. Second, adopting nature-based solutions to go for disaster risk resilience. And third point I would like to make is integration of traditional knowledge with the modern science. Talking about the first point, research and development, it is a reality that the disaster risk resilience and climate resilience is still in a very nascent stage in the Himalayan region. Innovation, collaboration, and communication, three things which are the pillars of this present Congress. They will become handy in every case. And with this, I will stop here and thank the chair for giving me this opportunity. Thank you all.
We are here to eliminate poverty and boost prosperity in a livable world. And that is, when we talk about livable world, we are talking about resilience. We are talking about ensuring that we ensure that zero carbon, net carbon becomes a reality one day. But before I go into details, I think I would first like to congratulate Government of India, Government of Uttarakhand and other states in the way we have started managing disasters. In last 20 years, we have seen a big transition from the time when we started looking at the disasters. And I remember that we have now NDMA, we have now National Institute of Disaster Management, we have the SDMAs also now, and we have Institute of Disaster Management, one is national, and then now the regionals are coming up. We are also going to see a very big one, Himalayan Institute of Disaster Management, very soon, about which our Honorable Chief Minister also talked about. NDRF, SDRFs, and there is a lot more to talk about what we have seen in the last 2 or 3 decades in terms of disaster management. And there is a clear visible result out of it, which we have seen. There was a super cyclone in Odisha in 1990s, and the level of casualties at that time, and recently when cyclone happened in Odisha, the stark difference between the number of casualties which have happened, we can proudly say that we have come a long way, and we now see much lesser casualties than before. So bravo to all of us. But having said that, I would like to say that yes, we have still a long way to go, and there are few good pilots which in India we have done and which requires replication and also put to use. For example, there is a recent state disaster rescue force training campus which has come up in Uttarakhand, and there is a big possibility for use of that institution for trainings all across.
Thank you very much.
Z News.